The opening starts on a busy city street, but no one is moving. People are frozen mid-step, like time itself has stopped. It's a subtle callback to Persona 5 when Joker first arrives in the city. In the original game, the theme was about breaking free, fighting back against the chains societies and corrupted authority place on you. But in Persona 5X, the tone is different. It's more bleak. Here, people aren't being controlled. They have simply lost the desire to act at all. It's actually feel more like the final arc of Persona 5, where people willingly surrender their freedom. But P5X takes it a step further, because if you don't have desire, you're not even capable of choosing to be free or be controlled. And that's what makes the protagonist different. As the camera zooms in, we see him tap his foot. Just a small motion, but enough to show he's not like the rest. There's still something left inside him. The familiar red backgrounds from Persona 5 and Royal makes a return, but this time it carries a different meaning. Instead of just visual style tied to the series, red here acts more like a stoplight. Everything is frozen still. The main characters, the one who matters, stand out in color, but even they are not moving. Only their shadows are in motion. It's a small detail, but it says a lot. They haven't awakened yet, but something inside them is already starting to stir. Then we see Lufel. He swoops down and perches on the street light. His goggles are red here too, but it's a different red from the background. The animators clearly wanted to make that distinction. That said, this entire sequence mirrors an early moment from the story where Lufel first takes notice of the protagonist. And then in one bold motion, Lufel dives straight into the red. He flies directly into the color that represents stillness and suppression. That moment always hit me. Even more when the protagonist sees him and follows without hesitation. There's also a subtle detail running in the background here. Since the start of the OP, beneath the street, there's a faint watering reflection. This detail will make more sense later, so just keep it in mind for now.
Dust off. Is that what you do? Is that all you're made of? Whatever ain't right, prove it on yourself. Revisit your act, return top of the rail.
Once again, we see the red background, and by now, it's more than just a style choice. Everything about it say, don't move, don't go there. But the main cast ignore that. Just like the protagonist was inspired by Lufel earlier, now the rest of the group begins to wake up too. That first spark of inspiration and movement is spreading. One by one, they start to resist whatever's holding them in place. That said, if you look carefully, after the protagonist runs past Motoha, her shadows is now also moving along with them in the next shot. Shouldn't stand out here, unlike the others, the protagonist doesn't run past him. Instead, if you look closely, the Metaverse app is launching on his tablet, as if it's calling him to come search for himself. Then we get this incredible shot, the protagonist skating forward straight toward the red wall. They could have framed this from any angle, but they choose this one for a reason. It's not about heading into the unknown, it's about ignoring the signal to stop and pushing forward anyway. And here's the bonus detail that I like a lot. Take a look at the cars here. They all headed away from the red. Everyone else avoid it. Only the one that matters move forwards. This is the moment the protagonist enters the metaverse, and the staging here is really smart. Because it's continued the visual metaphor we saw with the cars earlier, but unlike the cars, which all move in one direction, it would have looked odd if the foreground characters did the same thing. So instead, Their poses are mixed, some face forward, some didn't. But it doesn't matter either way, because the animators handle it beautifully through camera movements. The crowd get pushed to the right, and the protagonist and Lufeo move left into the metaverse. It's a clean visual device. Everyone else is being swept away while the protagonist move against the current. Then the distortion hits. That signature red ripple tears across the screen. But this time, it's not just about the protagonist. One by one, the rest of the cast appear in their Phantom Thief forms. In under 3 seconds, the animators show us clearly and effortlessly that the others are also entering the metaverse and awakening their personas. And here's a fun fact for anyone who assumed the red distortion started with Persona 5. It didn't. It actually came from Persona 4. That was the first game that explored the idea of distorted psyches. And this red ripple, this warped visual signal, was tied directly to that theme. Now, the sequence ends with Genosek's reveal. He slides through the red backdrop like it's paper, clearing the way for the Velvet Room.
Gold up and dead. Instead of being bitter, back up. Go grab your keys. Follow the start time.
This next part is easily my favorite moment in the entire OP. The Velvet Room in this game is underwaters, an actual room beneath the ocean. And honestly, it might be one of the best versions we've seen so far. In Persona lore, the Velvet Room usually exists between the mind and realities, but this time it connects to something deeper. A reoccurring location called the Collective Unconscious, also known as the Sea of Souls, which tie back perfectly to that water reflection we saw on the street earlier. That said, the Sea of Souls is intentionally vague, but the general idea is this. It's the deepest part of the mind, a place where thought, memories, and even the essence of life originated. Most of the series' dungeons are rooted here as well, and many major Persona bosses are implied to come from here too. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. The Velvet Room attendant in this game doesn't have the usual yellow eyes, which might suggest she wasn't created the same way as the others, or maybe she's not even an attendant at all. I'll let you guys debate that in the comment section, but I'm going to dig into this from a lore perspective because, well, I'm the lore guy. Her name is Merope, which makes it likely she's based on one of the 7 Pleiades from Greek mythology. The Pleiades was water nymphs who were eventually turned into a star cluster, and out of all of them, Merope was the only one who married a mortal, which makes it pretty fitting that she's the one guiding the protagonist. But there's more. In the Pleiades cluster, Merope is also the dimmest star, and now it makes sense why her eyes aren't as bright as the other attendants. Now, you might be thinking, but the other attendants aren't named after Pleiades. And that's true. But there are still some subtle connections. First, there are 7 Pleiades, and as of this recording, there are 7 Velvet Room attendants in total. Also, in Persona 5 Royal, you can spot 6 stars hidden in the thief dens, possibly a nod to the attendants, drawn by Jose himself. After this scene, the protagonist falls back into the metaverse. As he drops, his body ignites, briefly forming the shape of a single kanji character. It's the same character used in the Daimonji festival, part of Obon, a Japanese tradition where the spirit of the dead are sent back to the spirit world, with giant bonfires lit across 5 mountains as a final farewell. From the lore perspective, it marks the protagonist's return to the soul side of existence, the realm beneath the physical world where all thought and desire originate. That's why this part works so well. After the fall, the protagonist bursts upward from a pool of waters. It's again not just a random cool shot, it's actually make a perfect sense. He's exiting the Velvet Room located underneath the ocean and surfacing into the cognitive world, the metaverse. If you have played Persona 5, you probably recognize this move. The protagonist tearing off a shadow mask while riding on its backs, just like Joker did. Then the team charges forward together, all in motion, right through a literal red light. You already know what that means, so I'm not gonna repeat myself here. Honestly, this whole sequence just feels fun. The teams is in sync, fighting side by side. Lufel nearly get hit by a train, only to be saved by Rigo. Then Shun and Motoha team up, blasting through shadows like a well-rehearsed duo. Quick side note here, some people think Motoha codename Closer sound a little weird, but it's actually a baseball reference, which ties in perfectly with her animation in this scene. A closer is a pitcher who comes in during the final inning of a close game to finish it. And that's lined up with Motoha's backstory, since baseball played a major role in her life. As for the final strike, Genosik gets the spotlight again, crossing his twin gun axis into an X shape, a clear nod to the title of the game. Also, one other thing worth pointing out here, Genosik is one of the few persona actually designed by Sojima himself. So if he looked a little more polished than the rest, that's probably why. There's not too much going on here in terms of deeper meaning. This scene is mostly a continuation of the team working together from before. So let's take a second to highlight the rest of their persona. Lufel's persona is Rob Roy, Motoha is Awilda, Shun uses Mandarin, and Rigo is Shihaya. Here's what makes that lineup interesting. There's a clear theme running through most of them. Rob Roy, Mandarin, and Genosix are all regional versions of Robin Hood, Scottish, French, and Slovak folk heroes, all known for stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. Awilda stands out as a princess who becomes a legendary pirate, and Shihaya fits the ninja archetype, a specialist in intel, support, and a master at infiltration. It's a strong thematic choice, and it ties directly into the core idea behind Persona 5X, retake your desire. Then, after they clear out the shadows, there's a quick but meaningful moment. Shun gives the protagonist a boost, then Rigo gives him another one. It's subtle but powerful. Boosts like this are a classic animation shorthand for teamwork. It's pretty much saying you can't get there alone, but together you can reach higher. And now we get to the final stretch. Bit of a fan service here. Joker and the original team shows up, just to remind you that this is still a Persona 5 gacha games. Some people might love that, others probably not so much. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Then the two teams drop into the last bit of red, visually descending into the deeper layer of the metaverse, Mementos. We then cut to the protagonist riding Lufel van, and from there, the team launches into the iconic Persona 5 all-out attack as they finish the mission. The green light then turns on. It's a small detail, but it's hit hard. It flipped that earlier motif completely. Red meant stop, green mean go, and now everyone's moving. Desire is flowing again. In the background, we see the team slowly fading one by one, returning to the real world. No flashy send-off, just a quiet fade out. Or was it? If we go back a bit and pause, here, Aran Hirano can also be seen for a brief moment, likely a hint that she is important to the plot. And finally, the last shot. Lufel saw toward the red sky, not running away from it, but flying straight into it. Because the job's not done. There's still more to take back. If you made it to the end, you're probably someone who enjoys lore and deeper analysis. Members get early access to new videos 1 week in advance, plus exclusive contents that dive deeper into selected topics. Check the descriptions for more details.